Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I am doing a tag video. This is the Unpopular Opinions tag. It was originally a book related tag, but it was reinterpreted by Bree Book Reviews, I believe, and she sort of unofficially tagged me in one of my videos, so I decided I would do it. This is a tag video that I really enjoy watching. I do watch a lot of booktube videos as well as manga videos and some other things as well, but this is one of my favorite tag videos that's really circulated around booktube. So now that it's been kind of revised for manga, it's not really that different, but it's been revised for manga, definitely wanted to participate. So thank you to Bree's Book Reviews for tagging me in this, sort of, and I hope you enjoy this. Let's just get into this. So the first question, a popular manga series that you didn't like. Now, if you've watched any of my recent videos, you will have heard this title already, so it should be no surprise to you, but Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa is a title that I actually dislike. This is one of the most popular shonen manga of all time. It's probably one of everyone's top 10 shonen manga. If you've read it, it's probably in your top 10. I would be very surprised if you've read this and it isn't in your top 10 manga, because it's in everybody's except mine. So yeah, definitely Full Metal Alchemist is a series that I dislike, but everybody else in the entire world who's read this title loves. A manga everyone seems to hate but you love. Now, I'm not entirely sure that everybody hates this, but I'm certainly not seeing very good reviews for this title. And that is Nekogahara Stray Cat Samurai by Hiroyuki Takei. This is the same author as Shaman King, and definitely the art, you can see his art style is very similar to Shaman King. It's very exciting and very interesting. But I think that a lot of people are finding this one a little bit hard to get into, especially considering all the cat puns, and there's a little bit of sort of philosophy involved in this one. So it is a little bit dry to start, and I think maybe people are not really into it yet. Hopefully this one will pick up, because I personally am really excited about the next volume. I think that this one has a lot of potential to be a really good manga. For me, this is a title that I actually rate fairly well for the first volume, and I'm really looking forward to future volumes, but I know that a lot of people are kind of iffy about it and maybe not even going to go further than the first volume. So number 3 is an OTP you did not like. I'm going to choose the couple from We Were There, Nanami and Yano. I recently read this, actually. I think I read it in January, and I read it because so many of you had actually commented on my videos and asked me if I had read this series before. I had read a few volumes earlier, but I had recently finished reading this, and I really did not enjoy the couple in this series, and because it's really just based on their relationship, and it's just sort of a drama about them kind of falling in love and staying in love and all of that business, it really wasn't a series that grabbed me, because I didn't like either of these characters. I don't care particularly that they ended up together, like that doesn't bother me at all, but I genuinely I didn't like Yano, I didn't like Nanami. I didn't think either of the characters really did anything for me. They were both kind of weak characters, and so for me, like, this was probably one of the weakest relationships. But there's lots of really good things in this series that I hadn't seen in other titles before, so this isn't necessarily a bad title. It's just that so much is focused on this relationship that I really dislike in general. A popular genre you hardly reach for. So I do tend to read a lot of a bunch of different genres. I do like to try a bunch of genres even if they aren't my favorite genre, but probably the things you're going to see least on my channel are going to be yaoi. I have read quite a lot of yaoi, I just don't generally get into the stories because they're just too short. You also probably won't see a lot of mecha. There isn't actually a lot of mecha in my collection, and I really have to be just in the very right mood to read a mecha series. I don't generally care for harem series. I will read more reverse harem, just because the audience is probably more intended to me. This is probably more intended for a male audience, so for me this just doesn't do a whole lot, and I kind of, after reading enough of it when I first got into manga years and years ago, like, the jokes are kind of done, so I'm kind of bored with this genre in general. And then the last genre that I don't pick up a lot of is pretty much any series that has a lot of musical elements in it. Because this is more of a visual medium and there is no auditory element, it's just really hard to get across the musical side of these series as well as if I had watched it as an anime. This is actually a manhwa, not a manga, but I just find that I would prefer to watch the anime, but also because I don't watch a lot of anime, I generally don't pick up a lot of the manga either. So it's just sort of a little area that I don't pick up a lot of. I have read some, but it's not generally my favorite. A popular or beloved character you did not like. There's quite a few, but I'm going to go with Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. I have heard a few people talk about how much they like Kurapika, and some people have even said that this is their favorite character, and when I heard those words I thought, what? I'm in the minority? How is that possible? How does not everybody think that this is probably one of the most annoying characters in all of manga? I just am so annoyed anytime that he's on the page. Anytime I see him on the anime, I just find him incredibly annoying. And he's not annoying in that like he's making jokes or he's like really awkward or anything. I just can't get behind his feelings. I just find him really boring, and I don't care, and I just want to move past that part of the story and get into the good bits. A popular mangaka that you can't seem to get into. Now, this is a little bit, maybe it's a little bit cheating because he's not the one doing the art, but that's Tsugumi Ohba, and I've just had a hard time really being excited about his titles. Definitely they're very popular titles, definitely this duo is very popular, Obata and Ohba, but Ohba's stories just never really capture me. Of course Death Note has been a huge force in the manga community. It definitely was very popular, and I read it and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't you know, like mind-blowing, and certainly I haven't enjoyed any of his other titles, so he's not having a very good track record with me personally, but I know that this is a very I know that he is very popular. But as far as Obata goes, I really do appreciate his art. I think that he sometimes picks really poorly who he's going to work with, not necessarily Ohba, but sometimes he's got some other projects that I've read that I didn't care for, or I really questioned his judgment on working on them. So, but personally, I haven't really been very good at getting into Ohba. He certainly isn't writing for me. A popular trope you have no interest in reading. Now this is a really difficult trope to explain, but certainly if you've read shoujo manga you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Usually it occurs when a guy and a girl finally get together. It's usually a high school romance. It's usually the boy is kind of more distant, or he's, you know, really elite, or, you know, really kind of off limits to the majority of all of the girls that are around him. And they finally get together, and then all of a sudden some other girl appears and she sort of lays her claim on him. She thinks that she has prior claim on him because he was kind to her in the past, or because they are sort of in this weird familial relationship, or because she just happened to be the best selection in class and everybody else thought that she deserved him the most. And there just always happens to be this other girl who thinks that they can get in the way of this couple, and it is the most irritating character because they never appear until later. They don't kind of pre-exist the relationship from occurring. It's only after the relationship has sort of been finalized that you need to put this spur in the relationship, and it never works out for this other character, and I don't really understand why it happens over and over and over. It's almost so expected in shoujo manga that if it doesn't happen, it's a surprise. So I really don't like that. It's not necessarily that it's a love triangle, but it's that third character who believes they have prior claim because they were there first. A popular series you have no interest in reading. Now, to say that I have no interest whatsoever would be a complete lie, because of course I want to read anything and everything. but these are certainly very low on my priority list. That would be Tokyo Ghoul, certainly, but I have read the first 2 volumes. I just wasn't super interested in picking up more volumes. It's not necessarily that I've dropped it forever, but it's not very high priority at all. My Hero Academia is the same. I have read the first volume, but you know, it didn't grab me, so I will probably read it eventually. I probably will just borrow it from the library. But you know, maybe if Viz comes out with a box set, I might be interested in it. The same goes with Maggie. I'm not terribly interested in reading it because I'm not super interested in the whole Aladdin and his lamp fairy tale or myth or whatever it is. So for me, like, to see a retelling of it, it's not particularly interesting. But again, you know, if Viz comes out with a box set, I might be interested in picking it up. But they're like all very low priority. Most of the things that are low priority are going to be kind of Shonen Jump titles that are popular and modern, because I'm not that demographic, and I'm getting further and further from even that age group. So yeah, those are going to be generally my lowest priority, but in general, there's no such thing. I will read it all at some point, hopefully, or you know, that's sort of my never-ending goal. An anime adaptation you prefer to the manga. Now I'm going to go with Azumanga Daioh by Kiyohiko Azuma. If you have read the manga and enjoyed it, please go and watch the anime, because the anime is so much better. I'm not saying that the manga is bad, but it is yonkoma, or 4-panel comedy manga, and basically that means that it is jokes. So like you would experience in like the funny pages in your newspaper, there is sort of a set formula, so it's sort of a setup to a joke and then the punchline in the last panel. And so it's not easy to get a lot of character development in this way, and at the same time comedy is really, really hard to translate, because there's so many nuances that are part of a culture, and so to really get that humor across, I think you really need the voice acting and the animation to kind of pull it off, because there's a lot of jokes in there that are really Japan specific that I think you probably wouldn't even understand without kind of more of a without all of the extra you know, voice acting and color and animation and acting. So to not be able to see it played out and to only have static drawings to interpret the comedy really isn't the best way to go. But I still enjoy this manga. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it, but the anime I love so much that, like, every time I see it, and I've seen it many times, like, I laugh so hard that I can cry, and I have shown it to most of my friends. Like, pretty much everybody that I know has seen that anime because I love it so much, and because I think it translates really well, and I think that even as a non-anime watcher, people would really, really like that anime. So definitely Azumanga Daioh. But then I also think that about a lot of 4-panel comedy manga, like Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, I think probably also worked better as an anime than as a manga. I just think that comedy translates so much better on screen than it does on paper. The last question is to tag someone. So I don't think too many people have done this in the community, and certainly not the manga version, so I'm going to leave your name down in the description below to tag you, just to keep things clear and make my editing life easier. If anyone else would like to do this tag video, please feel free to do that. Let me know if you decide to do it, and I will check out your video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Da 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 da.